Coming into channel upper streamlines, set line and rotation interference. 48 channel upper streamline and rotations. Line position locations 10 on 10. Set line position locations 48, 58, 68. Set location number of line center locations into sector calculation streamlines. That puts 4 provision line center locations into 72. The line signals and position line directions trace in all calculations to your moon of operation streamlines. Now we're going to come into 60 to 70. The line setting locations comes into all levels of the awakening setting location and moon settings. So the streamlines are in positional levels, taking you guys out of dormant and set locations. The is coming into past, present, and its location of its future setting. The moon setting, the operation line center, is going to set up 3 black holes and calculate streamlines. Coming into the parallel settings, the position location, the polarities, the paradigms, the polar shift, the polarity shift line settings, and the paradox line conditions. You understand the recognized line center to its past, present, and future of its moon setting. That opens all operation locations. So the activation streamline opens the moon line center to its calculation equal line conditions with equation factor over scales the positions of pi position line centers in Skynet line setting in direct locations of its metric system. Skynets, sky position line directions, and sky grid. So the line position locations is coming into the moon. Okay, the moon comes into operation locations, all also channel operated streamlines. You come into your motion locations to your radiograph stream locations, better operation settings to ground settings, so security line divisions and position locations, all levels of Fibonacci sequence, line conditions to your solar light settings, and high interference of your time frequency, timelines, time code, high lines, and rotation. It's all calculated and modified to all levels of your tracker settings. You guys find your own foundations in that setting, but your moon is going to be in position location of its activation line setting into GOD. Geometric of its own operation, of its own design, of its own division, of its own direction, of its own dimension, of space and time, of pi. So pi represents line positions of you. The center calculation is all line setting. Here to here is what's in between. How long does it take you to cross over set locations, right? So over pi is position location. So what you're doing is you're creating a bridge. You create another bridge and you attach it, and then you walk across it. Okay, so there's a lot of ways in position line setting. You can go through vortex of communications of pi, echo chamber line centers, echo Luzuler, tango, fox, Charlie 1, set calculation, high interference line direct locations, channel position line center location of moon, operation signals, travel calculation, interline settings, interlace locations, interchange positions, foundations over graph setting. Modification setting and rotation setting is all levels of calculation streamlines. So we got in position line setting. We have a calculation line stream in position of all setting. Tomorrow is the quiz in set locations into your setting to 60, 70. And line position location is track lines, which gets you in position of 70 to 80. Okay. Guys, setting communication lines get you in all program setting. Okay. But getting your moon set locations gets you in all levels of tither set line settings and direct locations to your body. 12 DNA line settings, clock line settings of 48, putting you into 72. That's 72 operation cycles into 72,000 lines per second, per channel, per operation, per square, per mile. 72 million line signals in high line setting to moon operation signal in rotation, position, location of 0, 0, 1 calculations. Calculation high center interference, putting your position to your moon setting location of a hologram structure of DOD. GOD set lines, position locations, and all track settings, all division locations, putting you guys into full cycles of operation to moon setting of sector locations. All right, sit in position. All right, so we're going to start this, right? 60 is all set up, look at 72, all right? So we're going to go through this, and then we're going to get you out of 48 line setting and get you guys in your 72 positions, all right? All right, so 60 line center is the moon of operation, all right? So obviously you're gonna have to write this down in position locations, all right? I need you guys to get more line communication in your muscle memory settings, all right? 61, okay, pi of gravity, gravitational pull, calculation streamlines, set locations, high setting. Setting communication line interference. 62, pi of security lines. Security defense, security line defense, security line perimeters, whatever it's all line conditions, as long as you add pi. Because remember, 16 line communications, you're thinking, hey, is it the throat? No, it's the position or levels of the moon that sets location of 6 and 9. Position line directions, yin and yang. Process calculations. 3, pi of Fibonacci. 64, pi of polarity. Okay, pi of polarity. All right. 65, pi of Orion's belt. Okay. 66, pi of echo chambers of ecosystem. Okay. 67, pi of TV reception. That's line communication line centers, location of space and time through line setting. 68, pi of infinity of rotation. 69, pi of matrix streams. Okay, now when you get out of 69 line setting, you come into the PC unit. That's all communication line center rotation, 72 position line directions. Okay, PC unit. Okay, all communication setting, right? So in that position line setting, you come into pi, set communication system, all right? So 70 is set locations into all setting. So once you get into 71, you're in positions to higher levels. You come into your modem, okay? 72 is your position locations of Wi-Fi, right? Setting calculations of an umbrella, set the line position location to a satellite. There you go. Calculation streamlines and all line setting, 60 to 70 position. That is what you're in position location of through quiz and line setting locations of your test. Muscle memory of all calculation line settings. Put you in all position locations to your sectors in all calculation setting. Okay? To your moon setting locations. All right? Screenshot that. Good to go. All right. So you're obviously going to have to watch this back. So you can get in position location, DM each other, and get that line setting. So on the day, I don't want anybody on paper. Okay? Muscle memory. Okay? So you guys are going to go through line setting locations of 50 all the way up to 80. Okay, all the way up to 80, 50 to 80. I need to see the process and I need to see you guys on a time sequencing line setting. So you got 2 minutes to 4 minutes to get position locations of 50 to 80 chakra line settings in time positions through your moon and your calculation setting. Okay? So after tomorrow line rotations and calculation clock lines in 72 position line directions, we go into 7 days line setting into the sun communication of lights, pixel streamline centers in high center locations. All right. All right. Setting line position. Okay. So traveling communication line settings opens all position location of directions. All right. So now you understand what's going on with your chakra settings. Better information system. The avatar understands these things. Okay. So line position locations, 1, 2, and 3 communication settings, all right? Setting position of center, 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 triangulation line position. Okay, this is going to open up 3 portals. 3 portal communication line centers. Portal line setting. Okay, portal communication line settings and line center location, line connections, diamond core line center rotations, north, west, south, and east, and south line setting to position locations, vector over pi, set line position locations. Okay, communication line center, galaxy line settings, indirect locations in the setting. Okay, opens all signals and high rotations, set location. All right, so circle line setting, circle line setting, circle line setting, past position locations, online center, present position locations, and center location of future line conditions. All right, so 3 channel operations streams lines and calculations into black holes are set location to moon setting location. All right, so it's in triangular lines. So we put 3 line center and we put 6 locations and 9 line setting interference. Line strip position location down lines, circle line rotation interference, magnetic highway information lines. This opens all channel communication system. Allocate timelines. Here comes the moon. Moon set line in rotation calculation stream. There's the moon, right top line setting. Sets communication. Travels through all communications into moon settings. Setting calculation all levels into galaxy shift lines in north, or south, and east. Sets communication line centers, a higher communication location. There's portal activation line setting that puts you into your line connections, all right, through your past to your moon setting location, all right? Instability line setting, it's going to come back. Setting communication. So you get 53 line settings and 11 thumbs up and rotation setting. All right, so the moon setup looking at high center interference. The faster I do this, get out of location, specific location, port line center interference, specific location directions. Setting line set is extremely sensitive set locations. So we get a clock line center 48 line setting, location settings, box line, position locations, all levels, travel line, position location, okay, high system, travels line center and position location to its graph lines, a string line, position location, rainbow graph string settings. Setting communication line center, another communication system. So we come into position locations into line centers of 10, line centers of 10 calculations, split line center of space, and position location of time, right? Center communication, all line center, mass, velocity, volume communication setting, and position acceleration of Mach speed line setting. One line center, line position locations into decimal of 0, 0 line calculations. Line center rotations in position of 4, okay, in bracket setting, okay? Comes in line center locations and position line directions. So that's 48, 58, 68, set position location of 4 line setting into 72 track locations into your computer setting. Ooh-ah, set location. So now your computers are set in lock line setting, high line center rotation interference, and keyboards, 3 line position locations, right? Past, present, and future calculations into flux capacitor right there. Setting communication line inner rotation position locations, all worlds at high setting. Now the moon's set up in line center rotation, flux capacitor communication system. Orion's belts in line center location of past and position location of present and position location of future, all set location of moon setting. Moon is now traveling to all calculations of all line center to all triangulation line setting and all position locations into 72 channel operation streamlines and calculation streamlines. Hooah! Done through equation. All right, so it's all set up. So we're going to try locations. You guys are going to go through the observation cycle, setting line position locations into moon settings, put you guys in high communication setting. We're going to go into the matrix grid setting line interference. We're going to go into all position location to line setting to your tail, set location, position line directions, inline setting, one set locations, tether on both side line settings in position, all right? All right, so starting with the tail, going to the reverberation line centers, the ground line center rotations, secure line position locations, solar panel line rotations, heart recognition timeline center, throw communication system, allocate timeline center, high interference locations into position line setting, all calculation T reception line, calculation high interference, line position location metric, line communication setting, allocate streamlines and high interference, flush line center, interference location, 10 line center, line interference, line positions, galaxy set line conditions, infinity cycle high interference, line indirect locations, channel line interference, inhibitor and rotation calculation of line condition position directions. Setting signals and high force lines into all levels of Earth position line direction. Earth is coming in, center calculation setting, and line direction. All right, so line position. This is where it comes into the steps. Okay, going to steps lines. They set out locations. All right. So it's in triangulation line setting. It's all set up locations, right? Getting the team set line setting rotations. Take them into 40 line setting rotations, position locations, all those equal line connections to the factor, line position of pi. Okay, set locations. They're coming into all the flux capacitor communication channel. Operating screen line center. Set up positions umbrella. Communication line centers and position line directions. 58, 68. Set position locations. Equal line connections of 4. Line position equals line position location. 72 channel operation line setting in rotations to satellite communication. There, it's all set up. Satellites are set at location in your computer and set locations to your hologram. Your moon's a hologram structure line and line center rotation and position location calculation setting. So the next thing we got to do is setting position locations, so levels. Compute system line setting, high interference, line direct locations. Team setting line position location rotations times calculation times pi. Sector line setting, high line rotation interference comes into metric calculations. Setting communication is the metric line strings, set lines interference, sets position location direct locations, open all channel operator string lines. Setting calculates high streaming and line rotation to your satellite conditions. Position location, setting communication line settings. All right, so you got 12 signal line settings and another 12 line rotation interference, line position of flux capacitor, channel operation streams. All right, so that's line position locations. 12 times 12 is line conditions to equal line conditions on line center locations, bracket line center location of 144, sets a signal location of its tone setting, sets position location line setting, inline rotations, position line direction locations, past line conditions, come to center communications, 3 position locations over pi setting, right? Set locations in future communication system. Commanding setting line position of program locations, line center rotations into form, position line, equal line conditions, AI set line conditions. Direct line signals, high center interference. Now, in position line setting, you have 24 satellites in position locations to your 72 computer operation line settings. All position location, line setting, high interference, line direct location, AI, equal line conditions, all levels of hologram, and set locations equal structure. Set line conditions, all levels. Protocol set lines and high division locations. Team setting, high lines. Now, position locations comes into your position. 6 is an observation line setting, looking in, position location, line setting. 7 line dimension line setting is high center in the communication system. 8 is in track line setting, high interference or rotation setting. 9 is in communication as space line and universal line position locations. And 10 is a higher line connections to the computer adaptation line strings. And 11 is position locations, all levels of channel operator streamlines of galaxy and universal line connections, a higher line of planet locations. 20 minutes on the clock, have fun. Set line position locations all over the hardware structure, set location on line, compute system, and program location of AI setting. Done. All set in signal location. It's all done. See how easy that is to do? All through muscle memory. All right. Calculation streamlines, set lines, dislocation directions. Madeline, how you doing? Lindsay, calculation all levels of Adam, line setting, communications, gel line settings, all levels of line settings. Sam's of Gina, all levels of Airbender, calculation Nova, set line dislocations, data structures, Gypsy, communication line centers, high center Ryan, all level calculations, streamlines, Neva, Lauren, calculations, all levels, high setting. Position location Gingy, set locations Andre, set locations into Johnny, Guardian, set location of Val, communication line settings, high direct locations, high channel operations, set locations into Commander, Pam, communication line setting, okay, timeline, Sarah line position location, Tara into AJ, and position locations. All right, so hopefully you guys understand what's going on now. Your moon is set up locations into 24 line settings. 24,000 line signature program locations, but you're in position line settings of decimal of 00, one track line setting. Congratulations, hologram charts locations to your moon setting to your earth line setting. So moon is just an observation line rotation, calculation streamlines. So when you get into the polarities and the paradox and the paradigms and the polar and the high setting locations, all levels of your system line settings, you get a better understanding of all calculations. You got 2 paraline settings and moon sets location, right? Equal line condition to its polarity, right? Polarity equal line condition to its paradox, which is across signal line setting, right? You have the separate location of positive or location of negative, set line setting. Set position locations into galaxy line center, solar graph line center location, position location of directions. Sets communication position on north and to west line connection east line center location south. Diamond core line center rotations into flux capacitor communication setting, new ground setting in position to a magnetic highway information line center rotation. Calculation streamlines and high setting. All right. So moon setting rotation in calculation streamlines, moon equals moon operation signals and position locations in past, set communication in present, set communication in future line calculation setting. So setting signals and high line rotation interference, sets a high position location to computers, set equal line condition of program, line position of units, of position location of AI. AI sets location of its division to its location setting. All right. Setting position location directions. All right. So we go calculation setting. So moon sets position location directions. All right. So all calculation is now in black hole settings, right? Past, present, future, setting correlations. Now we get in lights and locations into hot, position location of cold, and position locations into warm, and position line centers of freezing. Indicate line setting into Y line setting into underumbrella set location of 0, 0, position location of 1. But make sure that decimal is in the center calculations and all line center, the avatar line setting. All right, so once you get the hot cold line setting, comes into this location of diamond core. Diamond core goes into the moon setting, circle line setting, opens up this location direct line connections into triangulation of its own pi calculation stream, sets line position location of levels, puts you in the center communication of 6, line position of 7, line position location 8, 6, 7, 8, line setting into another triangulation, position location of directions, opens all channel operations streamlines. Moon is now in calculation high setting. Heat signature patterns, high interference, galaxy shift lines, swirl communication, swirl communication, swirl communication, swirl communication. 5 generation light settings in high center interference, line position to its heart recognition of timeline. Set calculation streamlines and high line rotation interference. Okay. So your moon is now set in your heart recognition timeline in all position locations into its calculation setting. All right. So it's amazing how you put position line directions, but you have to truly understand how this is all set up through all calculations. All right. Setting communications into your weathers, weather calculation setting, weather equal line conditions into square, into the position location triangle, and position locations into circle. Set communication line centers a computer. Sets communication hologram. Set calculation streamlines and position location directions. Hoo-ah. So, are we having fun yet? Understanding computer line setting is to understand what you're doing through line connections and what's going on through moon, because that's what's moon setting, line setting. So we got one more project communication to your operation settings of your 36 panels of communication and security fields into operation cycles, security defense, perimeters of parameters, high line setting, high channels, electrical wall defense lines, high position location calculations into your protections of the moon setting locations. Schumann resonance, productive settings, high center locations, videograph screen line settings is all set up locations in your computer operations of your moon setting location in your GOD. Setting communications of its own geometric operation of its direction. Its division location at all those levels, all calculations, right, to your dimensional settings of high setting. All right, so one position line direction, one equals line direction. And when you get the line direction line setting, you have to choose how to use the northwest, south, and east, because it gets more complicated because now the moon is not in direct locations of northwest, south, and east anymore. It's northwest, southeast, southwest. All right, so it's going to be traveling a lot faster in calculation streamlines. Like I said, if you're in a capacity location of 15,000 line, that's 15 million channels operation of one thought channel, operation of one signal, and operation calculations times pi over factor calculation streamlines. So your moon is always going to be faster than your position to your avatar line setting. It has to be, because it's all recognition of timelines in your position locations to its polarity channel. Now, this is where we come into the zodiac line setting, into universal round calculations, into the unconditional love that sets signals of sovereignty and freedom in all calculation settings to your soul recognition timelines in your position locations into your unified setting to your ascension of its calculation of its awakening to its awareness of its calculation in its position location to its line signals into all communications to your twin flames and your sacred flame division. Sector calculations over pi and set line settings into sky grid settings. Setting communication system in position locations all levels tracks its line setting. Okay. So 1 equals 1 line division line rotation. Now that's sector over pi in set lines. Now that opens all communication settings. All right. So line position locations, your moon comes into a line setting to its ecosystem. Okay. Echo chambers, line centers, sonar line rotations coming into radio signals. Okay. Radio signal activation between lines and moon operation signals in one line setting in all position locations and 1 million track lines in 1 second, high center interference of 60 seconds per minute per channel per operator per square per mile. Calculates over 4 in line center rotations over pi, calculations high setting, and position locations to metric system in direct line setting to moon operation stream. This is where you come into all communications of what the moon can do and all provision to all travel line settings to one thought calculations in 1 second, 1 channel, 1 operation streamlines. Casting shadows, shades, and position is extremely important. Okay, when you come into all calculations of light of the moon, which becomes a cast of a moonbeam in set line connection. All right. So getting the weather patterns in lines of all calculations into hot, cold, into warm and freezing puts position locations in all line centers into 98% into line position locations, channel operation streamlines into 107, setting calculations of temperature readings, platitude division locations into Fahrenheit, and center locations of all levels at Celsius, setting communications, a moon setting, a graph lines, a travel direction, a timeline, and rotation sequence and position line directions. Hoo-ah, done through equation. You're all set up. Look at that. Look how powerful that is. Woo! It's all set guys. Tomorrow we get out of 72 to 144 crystal grids. Wow. So now you know how powerful your moon is and what it can do when you actually become the moon line setting location to its own geometry line setting location and direct line settings. So it's important you understand these things and how this sets you up. It's not just your chakra system anymore, is it? And this goes on a deeper core level. Okay, how you calculate and modify and how you see yourself in your avatar structural line condition of its hologram line condition to your moon now. Your moon is now in set line conditions to all levels of you through a hologram structure. Okay, setting signals and position line direction is to understand you through the simulation location of graph settings. Get a better understanding how to use your positions to your grounds of your moon. You really have to get a handle on these things. Okay, because now, after tomorrow, it's going to be set lines of activation setting. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting to your thought settings. The position line direction locations. All right, so you got 48 line setting. Okay, setting communications into 2 pi calculations. All right, 2 pi calculations in a 48 line setting. Right, so that puts it in 58. Puts it into all line connections into 68 line setting. Okay, 48 to 68 line setting. All right, so 58, 68. Right, 58 to 68. Right. So you got 50 line settings, and you got 8 line settings infinity, equal line connections of the levels. So that's infinity line positions come into its planetary line center of its flywheel calculation stream into its planet center locations. Channel operation streamlines comes in high settings. So 5 recognition of timeline sets line positions to all levels of your time reactor, time sector, time calculus over line over pi. Okay, time sector. Okay, it comes in time sector line setting. All right, so this is all about understanding how you take a 48 window in position location of 58 to 68 line settings in position location equal line conditions of 4 channels of operation to its umbrella of calculation. There's your computer. Allocate timelines and high line interference line position locations, put you in higher communication setting into 72 hours of channel operation streamlines into 72,000 lines of seconds per channel per operation per square per mile through 72 million line signals and operation signals, high line rotation to its calculation streamlines, sets position locations to your moon setting of operation to acceleration of Mach speed from 1 to 12 setting locations of your DNA track line setting. Okay? All right, so that's how you set locations. All right, so now you're in a computer operation stream. Out of the 48 window, in position of 72. Ooh, ah. All right. Yeah, and that's what it is. You need the flywheel because it comes in the coolant line settings. We'll get that set up locations to your moon locations operation tomorrow. So in retrospect, your moon is a position locations of a air conditioner and a dehumidifier. Hoo-ah. So setting signals and operation cycles sets line position location direct line setting. All right. All right. So let's see here. There's a lot of things that are happening right now with you guys during emotional locations. So you have to really understand your coolants, your ecosystems, you allocate timelines, time switch, high lines, high interference line directions. Taking you guys out of line rotations and wait to locations and gets to 0, line setting. Position line directions, all channel operators streamlines, set locations, you're back. 29 line settings in all positions of 40. So it's amazing how you set line center locations and how to channel operations to your moon location, right? But it's amazing how you come into your computer setting locations, right? Coming in the communication line center of its web. intergalactic line setting location of its net. Setting all signal location line settings. So I know everybody has to watch this video again and again and again because it's extremely complicated. And so many line settings of what your moon represents you to all levels of what it is, the calculation through space and time of pi. Okay. So that was fast. All right. It's amazing how things are set up, inside of you. It's complicated. It's always going to be complicated, but at least you get a better understanding how to balance out your connections. The first thing you got to look at is your operation setting into your calculations. There's cycles, crop circles, calculations into your pyramid settings, your grounds, your securities. I mean, this is basic, guys. Basic understanding what it is, the location of the moon. All right. You want to control the moon setting to your line setting, because if you're not, the moon's controlling you through emotional lines of its human resonance, of its vibration line connections, of its radiograph screen, or anything through your allocated line setting that sets its tone to its location of its sector line settings. Okay. So, yeah, and it gets a lot more fun when you get in high line center rotations once you get in your computer lines, because now you're coming into zero line position. So, clock location is a 72 line channel and coming into 144 and set locations, right? 72 line center is 001. Okay, position locations. Make sure you put that decimal there. The decimal line position location is your avatar. Okay. And then you got the location of 002, you go to 003, you go into 004, and so on, right? Make sure you put that decimal in the front center line conditions, right? Because all calculations and how fast you travel through its position location of pi. Okay. So now you're going to 72 channel upper streamlines into your computer setting. All right. So, yeah, try to explain that in an inner child form. Well, I just did. I just explained to you what it is, all through formulas of equation, how powerful it is in all setting locations to human setting. So, make sure you drink your water after this one, eh? Oh boy. It's a lot of fun when you really get connected to emotional lines and track lines and your Schumann resonant locations and your position locations, how it comes into high setting. So it's going to be a lot more easier how to read position of 72 o'clock now. Okay. And position line direct locations 144 comes into 0001 position. Decimal line setting locations. And this is where it comes into all calculations to its area code setting. Okay. 144. 144 is the crystal line setting. Crystal grids. Okay, how to set line signals into formation line setting in rotation, calculation streamlines, major grid settings, all calculation streamlines. Okay? To really understand more lines of hologram structure of you in your geometry line setting location of the engineer line setting of its avatar setting. All right? So, all right, releasing resistance of doubting, flowing. Okay, I'm just going to back channel line center, see how you guys are in locations. Constellation, we're correcting. Yeah, it is. That's what it is. Let's get location and setting lines. Get your temperature readings, your Schumann resonant line settings, high center locations. But it's calculated and modified now. It's very powerful how a moon is set location to its own black hole. How it sets locations of its past. and position location of its presence and its future setting. It's exciting. It's all set up. All right. So questions or comments, go through all levels on TikTok. All right. Tomorrow is the quiz. Next Friday is the test. And again, I want everybody off book. Okay. You got to go from 50 to 80. You have 2 to 4 minutes. 2 to 4 minutes to do it. So in that calculation line setting, you have a lot of position line directions. It's in the important locations because the moon has to be at a certain frequency line setting, and you have to be at a certain line communication to determine resonance of balance calculations. You got to understand your position of pyramids because that's coming in location of March of an equal line settings. You have to learn how to navigate your chakra line setting in high line rotation and interference locations. You have to understand all position location at the temperature reading line center location and moon center line interference. You have to understand all security and perimeter parameter line center rotations all located in the high system. You got 36 channel operated streamlines of fields. 12, 12, 12, 12. Right? You have to learn to understand what your chakra is doing through your strands of your DNA. Ooh-wah. Okay, we'll stop there. So in that position line directions, questions or comments, let me know. May everybody have a great day. Adios.